The next thing about David's personality was that he was very humble. And his humility was reflected in two ways. First was his reliance on God. Psalm 18 says this: "The Lord is my rock and my fortress and my deliverer." Now, have this context whenever you read Psalms, that as opposed to, say, Moses or Paul, who was writing letters that was going to be read by everybody, you know, there's that context in the background when you're writing. For those of you who are writers and all of that, you know what I'm talking about. There's a little bit, there's a little bit that you give, and there's a little bit that you hold back, because whatever you put on that script, on that paper, can be used against you at some point. But the way David wrote the psalm was almost as though he was writing his personal diary, where he doesn't, you know, your personal diary, you can write and just spill your guts, because it doesn't really matter. It's my personal journal. It's my personal walk with God. He wrote the Psalms that way. That's why you would see some places where he would say, God, my rock, God, my helper, God, I'm feeling this way. And then on another part, it's like, kill all of them, scatter their intestines across the fields. Moses never wrote that. But it was to tell you his intimacy with God. And this was one thing that was very peculiar with David, was that he was totally, utterly, fully immersed in his reliance on God. And that's what he tried to portray here and throughout the book of Psalms. So he says, "My God, my strength, in whom I will trust, my shield and the horn of my salvation, my stronghold." All these phrases are indicating different aspects of God that David held onto and he could recognize. He wasn't just saying things because he felt like it, because he was an amazing poet. No, David wrote from a place of personal relationship. He was utterly dependent on God.